Marshall Trump, somebody said, do you know how racist it is for them to think that Lil Wayne can persuade us politically? I was like, wow.
And no offense to Lil Wayne, but if you know him, he's one of the most ignorant. When I say ignorant, I really do mean in the defined term, lack of knowledge. Lil Wayne himself is often in his bubble.
For real though.
You know what I mean? Like ignorant in the sense of lack of knowledge. And that's literally what it is. A lot of the times when we try to pull him into these problems that are going on now, he kind of gives an ignorant response to it.
Man, from Black Lives Matter a few years ago, 4 years back, to even with George Floyd and him saying that he didn't believe in racism, going back to what he said a few years back to how the police saved, the white officer saved his life.
He's just speaking from his bubble.
Man, literally. And, you know, to say something is irresponsible is, you know, you don't believe in racism and you Lil Wayne, you know, from New Orleans. Even with the Rikers Island, the rap police targeting them. Just so much that is just so ignorant, so
yeah, that's the only word I can really think about.
Man. Irresponsible, you know.
And I just don't think he knows any better. That's what I mean when I say little lack of knowledge. I really do think that he is just in Wayne's world, and everything is from that perspective, you know, which is why he said that he don't feel like this exists because he's never had to deal with it.
Man, I can't.
You know what I mean? It's a lack of empathy is what it is. It's a big lack of empathy.
You know how out of touch you really gotta be to be like, see, the thing is, when Kanye do stuff like this, I believe Kanye, even though that Kanye, you know, he's a case in itself, but the thing about Kanye is, in some remote way, in a weird way, I think that Kanye may honestly have his heart in the right place. He just don't know how to get to what he don't know how to draw up the plan. He see the vision, see the light at the end of the tunnel, but certain tactics that he's taking that again could be, you know, not only insensitive, but like once again looking out for his benefit. But literally the Lil Wayne aspect just coming from such left field to where like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? At least Kanye, you know, black people don't have to be monolithic. Keep trying, even though it's like, hey man, you're not gonna get us to fuck with the Republicans this late in the game. I do understand and not trusting the Democrats. That's the thing. I respect that, but to try to get all these black folks to actually leave the Democratic Party and embrace the Republican, or just this conservatism, I don't know if that's
that much conservatism for somebody who's overtly, even if he didn't say that he's a white supremacist himself, you know, he's and publicly supported them, or if not even supported them, he's publicly given them a platform, I'll say. Like, I mean, did you watch any of the Kanye West Joe Rogan interview?
I was watching it, right? I watched it for so long.
It's long.
I'm
taking it in bits and pieces. I think I'm probably halfway done now.
One thing really bothers me about the interview, and it's how much Kanye is talking. I think.
Yeah, but that's what he does.
But Rogan literally only didn't even ask 10 questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, in the whole interview. Kanye went on a 35-minute rant. I counted. I was like, wow. Rogan hadn't asked a question in 35 minutes. You know? That's
a long time to be talking. I mean, Rogan wasn't... I feel like Rogan was being very careful. I think that's because he didn't necessarily know what to expect in some ways.
Right.
He didn't know which Kanye he was going to be getting. And I think that he wanted to be able to capitalize on that moment as much as he could, as not knowing if he was going to be able to get another opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get this information from him. So I think he just wanted to let Kanye do what he do best, and that's talk.
Man. And he said so many things that was just so worrying. Just as far as like, yeah, you know, as far as just, you know, even though I'm not the most religious person, I just don't. I think that it's very, it's a cheap tactic, I think, for humans to use the shit like the Moses line, like, hey, God put me in charge or God told me this to bring to the people. Like, bro, that's just some BC shit that you talking, bro.
As somebody who is, I won't say religious because I don't like religion, but I do hold heavy theological beliefs, I'll say.
Right.
And they do align with the Bible, but it's not in the traditional Christian aspect.
More of a spirituality aspect.
Yeah, because it's more so based on my relationship with God and the truths that I feel that God has given me to share with other people. It's not really about religion and following A, B, C, and D because A, B, C, and D. But
right. I admire that. It's like, how would you feel if your president said, "Hey, I should be president because God told me this," or if your doctor was doing heart surgery and they's like, "Hey, if God used my hands to do this surgery," like, do you think that is like a?
No, I mean that's the thing. I think that's very vain to do in a way.
That's a perfect word to use.
I feel like me personally with my relationship with God is everything is it's an understanding of what he has allowed. He's first in that hierarchy. It's not, I don't feel the need to say these things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel the need. I feel like because if you feel the need to have to say that, and I mean, that definitely goes back to the Kanye thing, because the underlining note that I kept hearing and feeling was just his high sense of self and how narcissistic he is what it kind of boiled down to, because a lot of it was just like, if you feel like you have a calling to do A, B, and C, and D, then just do it.
Right, man.
Do it.
That's the thing. It's like trying to convince, and I think that it's so, I think it's so cheap to do it in religion aspect, because even for the people who are religious, I know that doesn't mean people are, they think critically any less or anything. It's just, in essence, I know that when they're watching it, like,
they're more trusting is what it is.
Yeah, and
when you put God in front of it, they're way more trusting. They're less likely to question. But unfortunately,
I think that they might feel a little weird by that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
it's less likely to question. But the thing is, if you read the book that you supposedly believe in, which is the Bible, it tells you to question. It tells you to do exactly what you're not doing. You hold them up to these questions that are given and mark these checks off in their character. You know what I mean? And I feel like, as good as his intentions may be, Kanye is he's very narcissistic. And I feel like a lot of his reasoning I could be wrong. God forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the reasons why Kanye has gotten so heavily into this religious aspect is because he desires to be a leader. He wants to say it's for God, but I feel like he really desires to be a leader for his own sense of ego.
That man, that don't sound too far-fetched, especially when you think about, historically, and just everything he done to this point, I do believe that he might have his heart in the right place, but of course it is driven through his ego, man.
And I think he even spoke about his ego a little bit in that interview, and he's saying that his calling is now from a point of service to God and not the man. But I really do think I don't know if it's 50-50, I don't know if it's 40-60, but I do feel like his ego is a lot of the motivation behind it, his desire to be acknowledged as great.
And another thing too, I don't know if you're familiar, you remember when Trump was telling the Proud Boys QAnon a couple weeks back to stand back, stand down, or whatever, right?
Yeah, stand back and stand by.
I want to ask your opinion on some of these groups, not in a sense of being white supremacists, but in a sense of what, from their perspective, what they believe that they stand on. Because, if you ask them, they're not going to be like, hey, we're a white supremacist group. They're going to be like, we're constitutionalists, we're against the control of the Jesuits, and they believe in all that pedophile inside to the governments. And I want to know what you think about that particular aspect. Because, look, like I said, I'm not Democrat or Republican. I call out bullshit on both sides. I try to be as objective as I possibly be. But one thing that is an underlying aspect is like trafficking as far as like
Yes.
a lot of liberal groups do kind of benefit off trafficking, and I do see a lot of Republican or conservative groups, I say, you know, who try to address that more so than liberals. Now, even though that the underlying issue is racism, so it's kind of hard to get past the fact that, like, you know, I see this group over here, they might be doing something good, but the principles of what they stand on might go against everything I'm about. But an enemy of my enemy is a friend of me. So I'm just curious as to, do you think that some way, somehow we can all kind of get on the same page, all the groups, to kind of recognize the true enemy, with, like, you know, police fucking up our rights, or just different little aspects, because they're rooted in religion too, and they real constitutionalists, believe in your rights.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Right.
I don't think so, because I don't feel like people really stand for it and believe in the shit that they say they do.
Right.
I don't think, you know, people talk about they want equality, but do they really want equality? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like I said, that is a lot of my thought process behind it. It just becomes, I was a person who took so much time into dig into deeper to really understand and hold myself credible for the shit that I say that I believe in, so that I can back that up. And I find that a lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, a lot of people don't want to do that.
They really don't.
And it comes out of fear. And I really think that's a big reason, because people are afraid. You know, we say that we want to fight for something. We say that we're willing to lose for this cause. But how many of us are really willing to do that?
Exactly. That's the thing that's really tough, because, like, I have yet to hear anybody at a political level address trafficking.
No, because it's incidentally enough, it's not new. I find it funny that this is the year that the whole human trafficking and secret pedophile rings and shit, that this is the year that all of this kind of wants to spring up, because it's not new.
It's not new at all. But
it ain't new.
And that's to let you know, to believe that the tactic that I believe, like, I don't know if you've seen when Joe Biden and Trump did the separate town halls. I'm not sure. They did on separate channels.
I heard. I didn't watch those. I did watch the last debate that they did.
Okay,
but
well, it was interesting. The week prior before that, they did separate town halls, you know what I'm saying? And, now, the unique thing about it was Trump, again, refused to denounce white supremacy. But the thing about it was, they asked him, like, QAnon, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the group, they asked him, like, they have this big conspiracy theory, and they keep using the word conspiracy theory, like,
it's a satanic pedophile ring.
Exactly, right? And the thing about it was, when Trump didn't denounce that, and he was like, I mean, I'm against pedophiles too, shit, it let them know that he was not only kind of bigging up their whole purpose and their theory, it was so deep. But the thing is, how, as a black person, how do we feel about, it's like, because I was telling my uncle on the last podcast, I was saying, like, it's like we got this white supremacist narcissist silver spoon that we got on this hand. Racist, by the way, and then on this hand we got this secret racist.
He's everything else, but secretly.
Right, and he's potentially the shit that Trump could have been saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't. Yeah. Politics is politics, so I'm sure that they know what they're doing at each other. Even though it's like, hey, I'm not. You know, at least I might be racist, but hey, at least I'm not a pedophile. You know? Right,
and that's the thing, though, because that shit is like the lowest of the low.
But that's a strong ass allegation.
I might not like. I might be racist, but at least I don't touch children. Like, for real, like, it's the lowest of the low.
It make you feel like
it's the lowest of the low. It's just like, you know what? I can accept you not liking me. Just leave my fucking child alone. Like, it's
that right there, and that's what we have to do with as black folks. That every election we are dealt with some type of controversial disconnect with who we vote for. Like, okay, we have to vote for the better party, even though we know they don't fuck with us. We know that they're trying to kill black people, genocide, but hey, at least they not trying to send black people back to Africa or some shit like that, you know?
And now it's like, at least you know what I mean? You want to send us to jail and you going to keep letting the cops whoop our ass and kill us, but at least you're not touching our kids. So, I mean, and that's the thing with me. It's just like, how am I supposed to choose between these damn things? Like, you vote independent if you decide to not vote between the lesser of two evils, but then it's just like, okay, you know that vote won't count anyway either.
They didn't have a candidate on the ballot.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's just like...
But it was a lot of presidential candidates. You said independent, real thing. And I'm trying to say, they didn't have an independent candidate on the ballot. They had libertarian and U.S. taxpayers, all that shit. Where is the actual independent party? Because I think if Bernie's name was on there, I think that people would have clicked Bernie off. I think that Bernie would have had enough sway.
Yeah.
To
at this point.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing.
You know what I mean? Even if it was just a bigger movement to write him in. Man,
you know, Kanye name was really on there as a.
But they do such a good job at distracting us from what a potential solution could actually be. They do a very good job at distracting. Very, very good at it. Man. I mean, that's what Kanye is. He's just a distraction.
Yeah, man.
He's just another mechanism to sway votes and to take votes away.
You do believe that? Because a lot of people say that. You think that it's from the Republic. I think that he might be doing it unintentionally.
I won't say that it's purposeful. Yeah, but I feel like they saw him and they were just like, you know what? We're gonna let him do what he's gonna do because it'll be beneficial for us in the long run.
Right.
Just let him. Let Kanye.
Can I ask you something too? What do you know about the the Jesuits and stuff? Or are you familiar?
Okay, so I can say I'm not familiar in details, and I will say it's been a very long time since I have delved into the topic. But I'll just tell you my worldview. I believe the New World Order is a thing that they are trying to get to. A one world society ran by the top few percent of people, the few richest people in the world. I do believe that population control is a big part of what they are trying to do. And I do believe that is satanic. I do believe that it's led in a man, I'm glad. As crazy as it might sound, like in worship of their God, which is the devil. That shit sound crazy, but real.
That's a very interesting thing. I'm gonna send you this link too about it's a contract or it's an interview with the devil. It's a book, but they got the audio book. It's eerie as fuck. You should listen to it. It's actually talking about what the devil is and who the devil really is, and it's not like an actual person thing. It's like energy, boom, boom, boom. So when you say that, right? The reason I asked about the Jesuits, this past week, it was 2 headlines coming out the Vatican. I'm sure you probably heard. First one was the current Pope. He actually changed his stance on the LGBT, and he was like,
I did hear that, yeah.
Boom. And the second word out the Vatican was that they announced a black bishop for the United States for the very first time in history. There was a black bishop. So him being the highest ranking member in the Vatican and for America, a black person, says a lot. Because even when Obama was president, not having black leadership in the Vatican says a lot. I don't know if you were familiar. See, the Vatican, and this is legit. This ain't even no conspiracy talk, right?
No, I mean, I like I said, I don't really know the details, but I do know that the Vatican is a political and a very powerful entity.
Exactly. They control the world's treasury. So with that being said, it makes you think like, okay, because people be like the Jewish people, this and that, like the Jewish control. But the thing is, the Jewish are just they may have the shits to the actual accounts that they in charge of the banking, but the Vatican actually, pretty much controls the shit that really goes down at every level, whether it's politically, economically. So with that being said, I'm curious as to everything that's going on right now. Are they allowing this to happen? Like, is this because Trump hitting a certain level of low, and the reason I'm asking that, I'm thinking like, is this all a show? That's what I'm trying to ask. Like, is everything that's happening right now their plan, or is this literally we're off script right now? They want us to.
No, I think that all of it. I think that literally all of this shit is planned. Trump's I do feel like there are probably some things that don't go exactly as they think. I feel like because social media, we have social media, I feel like that has allowed more information to reach more people, more truth to reach more people than they anticipated. But I definitely feel like probably about 75% of the shit that we see is planned out.
So with this new, because we talked previously about like how we're seeing black people guilt these white people into like finding these corporations to make these pledges to finally like, you know, you're seeing this in action. Black people are really hypersensitive racially right now. We cannot, you know. So the whole thing is, the Jesuits sending a black bishop is such a like, I can't even really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me think like, wow, is this the change? Is the change really about to happen for us? Like, is this our time? To the extent that they can continue to control. Yes. If that makes sense. Right. But like, do you think that we finally can be the same quality of citizen as our counterparts? Like, do you think we actually can be, or is not even a, you know? Unfortunately, I don't feel so, because the people who hate us, the hate is so deep. So deep. You know what I mean? I feel like the hate is so deep that even if it was illegal to be racist, which it is, I mean, you know what I mean? Even if like they had some way to find it and punish it, right? I feel like people would still find some little way to get that shit off. Yeah, man. To get that shit off, because it's something that you don't understand unless you dig very deeply into yourself, and it's something that's so ingrained in ours, and at least in U.S. history. In our system, is something so deeply ingrained that literally everything would have to be scratched and started over. Yeah. Like our entire shit. The Constitution in that sense would have to be rewritten. I'm thinking that, but I hope not. We would have to like restart, you know? And it would have to be a lot of acknowledgement in what was done. And I don't feel like people are gonna do that shit. Me neither. And true racist people, they just gonna find a way to. They're gonna find a way to blame us. I think that if the new slavery might be like, you know, I think we're past the point of trading our time for money, but I think that what comes with that supplemental income might be a certain level of like. That is the point where I guess socialism would be a problem after a while. See, at this point, it's the answer. Socialism is the answer. We need, you know, to get out of this capitalistic shit because people are drowning. But at a point in time, is it cool to say, hey, you know, we got a cap on it? You know, how much we can make, you know? Imagine somebody being like, I never had a job and I'm 47 because the minute I turned 18, the government allowed me to just, you know, like, wow. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's like, if there is a cap, you think that's fair because how much money can somebody really spend? Right. How much money do you really need? Exactly. But then it's like, if I worked for this, I earned this, why shouldn't I be able to have my shit? You know, so it's just like, that's what I mean when I say that. I don't really feel like we'll be able to find a perfect, happy medium. Yeah. I don't think you could, even if you gave black folks their land, and like money in their account every month and allowed us to not to pay taxes. We would still want something else. I think that's just the nature of human beings. And I don't think that's wrong. It's not wrong. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's just the nature of human beings. We always want something else. There's always something else that we want, or that we feel that we are owed in some type of facet. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, did you see this young lady in Kansas City tear the police commissioners up? What do you mean? She went to some meeting at a police commissioner building in Kansas City. She was an African-American woman. And she went in there and she individually called out every last one of the board members in such a way that was, people are saying it was egregious, but it was so, for the black folks, they loved it. You didn't see it? She was like, I didn't. I'm going to play the audio for you in the background, so just 1 second. So here you go, you're going to love it.
I'm not nice, and I don't seek to be respectable. I'm not asking y'all for anything, because y'all can't and won't be both my savior and my oppressor. I don't want reform. I want to turn this building into luxury, low-cost housing. Talking about the police. These will make some really nice apartments to me. Firstly, stop using black children as photo opportunities, because they're cute now, but in 10 years, they're black male suspect in red shirts and khaki shorts. Eating cookies and drinking milk with children does not absolve you of your complicity in their oppression and denigration, Rick Smith. Because Kansas City will spend more on police than education and then try to encourage children to feast with their oppressors. Y'all are really weird. It's asinine to be called radical or homegrown terrorists for not wanting government employees to kill citizens in any instance. So I'm not here begging anything of soulless white folks and self-preserving black folks. You get one life, and you all in this room have chosen profits over people, and that's pathetic. So I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes reading y'all for a filth, something I'm sure nobody has ever done. Nathan, the gentleman in the vomit-colored men's warehouse suit, in desperate need of Bosley and a haircut, a former FBI agent who exudes white privilege and is the epitome of mediocrity, and who loves Trump so much that he hired his former attorney general at his firm. And it's so sweet because he spent most of this meeting looking away with his head in his hands. Or Mark, Pastor Mark of Victorious Life Church on 34th and Paseo, where the mission is to provide a place and opportunity to worship Jesus Christ and preach a message of hope and faith through God's holy word in the building. Meanwhile, he's subjecting black people to terrorism and un-Christ-like behavior at the hands of KCPD outside the building. And Kathy, Miss I'll get here before the other commission members, so I look as if I have empathy, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say. Meanwhile, I didn't have anything else to do at 8 o'clock in the morning but be rich and white and retired, so I'm here early. Or Don, owner of Wagner Investments, Blue Notes LLC, and part owner of the Royals, another rich and white and disconnected and out of touch person with nothing but pure apathy seeping through the bulging veins of your paper-colored skin. You age like trash when you're racist and subject others to violence. And David, you don't get a vote, but it'd be a shame if your really progressive students at UMKC Block School of Management knew you were a cop lover in 2020. I don't think they would be a huge fan of that in 2020. In 1960 maybe, but this is 2020. And Q, had I not spent the entirety of the last 6 months dragging you, I would have more to say, but I don't. And Rick, I won't even begin with you, because I don't care enough about you.
Man, your time is up.
Start, but you will have to spend overtime in a chapel at the end of your life. You have blood on your hands, and while these idiots hold you on a pedestal, God does not honor injustice and murder. Anyways, I'll leave you soulless, profit-driven, avaricious, greedy, God-forsaken humans, including anyone who works in this building, with one Bible verse from the Bible, detailing the life of Jesus Christ, who was another unarmed black man murdered by authorities in the book you hellbound people claim to love so much. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? You're really funny. Kiki.
Oh, whoa. So that was this past week.
Heavy.
That was this past week. She said that at the commission meeting, fearlessness and how she chose to just go at him gave me real vibes of like AOC and just the squad. It was like, man, she told them rich people up. She tore them up, man.
But that's what I mean when I say we don't have enough of that. That's a very select few who have that courage, fearlessness to be able to eloquently get off what she's trying to get off. She didn't stumble, she didn't trip, fumble over a word. That power, that strength, that, to me, unfortunately, that's the only type of power and fire that you can have if there's pain involved.
Exactly. Because what would keep us motivated long enough?
Nothing.
You know? Nothing. It went viral so deep.
As it should have.
Yeah, it was. I can't even imagine being the people inside the room. Even as a black person, I think that I would have been uncomfortable. Not in a bad way, but in like a afraid to laugh kind of way. And I hate that too. Because I guess you don't know where to stand when you finally see somebody call out the oppressor like that. It's like
oh shit, this is really happening.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like
she really did that.
But the one part I want to highlight that was the most interesting to me out of what she said, because a lot of it was like she came at a lot of their game, and it was kind of rude. But one thing that was very important, she was like, I want to stop seeing these Kansas City police have a photo out with these black kids, because in 10 years they're going to be villainized. How you feel about that?
I mean, I one thing I fucking hate, the thing that's been getting under my skin the most within this whole election cycle is the fucking pandering that's been going on.
Man.
And it's just like, we're becoming what we were in the past, and that's a prop.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I don't know. I think that black people, one thing that we universally, I don't even want to say universally, but a lot of us have is a bullshit meter. And it don't really seem to be, I'm not seeing too many people speak about it openly, you know, but that's why I kind of said that earlier. This is why I don't feel like too many people are moved by Biden, because that bullshit meter is just ringing.
Like you said, you know, I had to articulate it like the way you articulated. He was like, hey, I'm only doing it for our ancestors who didn't have the right to vote, who died for me to have the right to vote. You know, and that right there is the fucking truth, man. I didn't really think about it like that, but like, I swear to God, I only did it because the one thing that strikes me out about Biden and Kamala is that whenever somebody who, regardless of how much they backtrack since changed their life, I'm just saying, whenever you got somebody who wrote the part of the crime bill, and then you got California's top cop, not DA. Let's stop saying, oh, she was a DA. No, let's talk about her when she was Attorney General. She was a top cop in one of the leading states in prosecution. Come on, San Quentin is in California, for crying out loud. She is Attorney General. So what I'm saying is, whenever that they're looked upon as the most safest alternative, I feel like that right there is very deep. I think that another thing is the fact of, she said something at the debate that I've heard nobody fact check her on, so I'm taking it to be truth. But she said that she was protesting Breonna Taylor's murder, or George Floyd, one of them. And when she said that, I was like, Attorney General from California, former Attorney General, protesting some cops killing. She wouldn't do that when local cops did that at her level because of what her position was.
Yeah.
And so with her switching her position, she clearly would switch something as deep as that. I think that that's very alarming, as well as what they call it, flacking or something. What's that term?
Fracking.
Fracking, right? Fracking.
If I'm not mistaken, that was something I learned that when I was in that organization. But if I'm not mistaken, it's pretty much drilling to get oil. But a lot of the times when you're drilling, it affects the people around in that community.
Like
so there are a lot
racism,
of,
like Southwest Detroit.
There's like, I've seen videos of people's water that is flammable. They can take a match and burn their water.
I mean, like the shit coming out the faucet. I seen that on Twitter.
It's seeping into the water supply and stuff like that. It's actually destroying the communities around. That's why people environmentalists are against it.
Because she was initially against it when she was running for president, but because Biden is for it, the minute she switched up and now she's for it. And when I think that you see that type of backtracking without some type of accountability,
with quickness
though, and then to be able to explain it, it just shows you I'm not gonna say the snake in the person, but the lawyer in the person, I'll say. Yeah,
she's just a little bit too willing to go along
with whatever that could get her in the door. But
unfortunately, you know, this kind of goes back to the ruling at hand. I personally don't believe that they'll put anybody in that position that isn't too willing to go along with at least something.
So I'm about to send you this a link. I'm about to send you this link to your phone so you can read it right quick, right? It's the Extreme Oath of the Jesuits. And I'm only saying it to go back into this because, like you said, that they only allow what they going to allow, and people who are going to be able to do that, right? And
you still got to be able to pull the strings a little bit.
Man, have you ever heard of the Extreme Oath of the Jesuits, the thing that all the priests take, the oath?
Nah, like I said, I don't necessarily know the details, and there's a reason why I don't find myself delving too much into the details. It's just to keep that shit's heavy. It gets very heavy, and then I've been there and I've done that.
Look, I'm sending you the link, right? I don't want you to read the whole part. Luckily, the part that I want you to read is actually highlighted in red, and if you could just read the red part, it'll fucking blow your mind. And then I want to know, why would they put something like that in the oath that they take to be like, hey, I'm a pastor, save the world. Look what I sent it to you. Tell me.
Extreme. anything that's an extreme.
And when you click it, it's gonna be a bunch of bullshit. You're gonna see a sentence in red, not that one. But if you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna see a paragraph.
Okay,
in red.
paragraph there.
And if you could kind of just read a few pair of sentences, I want you to see what they take an oath on.
Let's see.
This is real life. This is nothing this is no conspiracy shit. It gets kind of uncomfortable. It gets like...
And liberals, wow.
Yeah. So this is one thing why I say like those Republican groups, like QAnon and Proud Boys.
Whoa. Hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle.
Any wage, they said whatever the amount, secretly, privately, publicly, it's war. We're going to war.
This is very detailed, like.
This is very detailed in whatever.
But it's detailed in a kind of a sick type of way.
But look, what it is it's detailed.
Rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, like what type of. But
look, what it is.
Society, it's gonna end it with society of Jesus. That's the shit that kills me. I'm gonna say that everybody needs to really understand who Jesus is and do research on it, because not everybody who says that they are representing and following Jesus are actually doing so. And
this is the thing. You said it yourself. You do believe that to some degree it's like some type of satanic thing. I don't know. I mean, but that. I think it's evil. What I mean is
that's dark. That's like that's not normal. That's not good. You know what I mean?
If the people who are in charge of the Vatican Church take that kind of oath, right? It makes me think like y'all are supposed to be the ones that's holier than thou. Y'all are, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all are holier than thou. We're supposed to be, right? So the thing is,
but that's the problem.
How can you say some evil shit that you'd be willing to do that? And then not only that, how many people have y'all been to war with thus far?
I was literally thinking that. I mean, because historically, the Catholic religion has been spread through means of force and conquest.
I had no idea that they was in charge of the Jewish, that I thought the Jewish people ran the world. But when I found out that the Vatican was behind the Jewish banking industry, I was like, it kind of scared me. And
it's deep. I mean, because like I said, what they are promoting is so anti-Jesus.
That how can they say about Jesus?
Historically, who was, I mean, other than on the spiritual level, but historically, we know that Jesus, his enemy, was wrong. Those were the people who killed him.
Think about this, and
the Romans crucified him.
I'm not religious, right? But tell me this ain't if you think of the story of Jesus, right, it's for me to argue it in some type of like conspiracy aspect to how it relates to this. Jesus went against the grain. He was liberal as fuck in his views, and he was killed in the corporation aspect, kind of like what that lady said. And in that rant, if you heard it, when she was like, Jesus was killed by his, you know what I'm saying? In that same,
he was an unarmed black man.
Yeah.
Killed by the government.
And that right there is exactly.
It's the truth.
It's scary.
It's the truth. Bro. I mean, the reason why he was killed for two things, and that was because he claimed himself to be a king. I am the king. You know, it wasn't even necessarily. This is the thing about Jesus, is the fact that the religious people, the Pharisees, they didn't like him because he came and he was shaking shit up. You know what I mean? He was shaking up the traditions and their foundations of what they thought it meant to be close to God and to be holy.
Right.
You know, holiness is really a matter of being different, being set apart. You know, but they didn't have that love that Jesus was such a proponent of. You know, they were just doing it because they thought it would. They were like the Kanyes. I'm doing this because, you know what I mean, to prove how good I am.
Right.
And I mean,
it's scary though, man. Like, I don't believe in like the rich Democrat belief in that sense. Like I do believe that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't be a rich Democrat. What I'm saying is, when you see a rich Democrat trying to convince you that they're like holier than thou, it kind of scare you. Not saying Kanye a Democrat, that's what he's trying to do, but like he's trying to make it seem like he for the people that he's leading. Like, bro, you are literally a billionaire.
But if you look at people's actions, you can see different, because unfortunately, and I could be wrong, but I just don't personally, there's something that doesn't sit right with me with you being such an advocate for the less fortunate and talking about how much you want to do for less fortunate, but your shoes cost about half of somebody's rent.
Oh my
and
God.
you know that you're black, you know the culture. Because you grew up in that culture. You know that people stood in line for those couple $100 Jordans.
I did. Listen, I did it when how bad is this? I remember it was just, I was young. I didn't even get a lot of Jordans, but I remember saving up one time so I could get these whole ass Jordans, right? It was like they called it a defined moment package. I was in high school freshman, and I went half with somebody because there was like 2 shoes in one big ass box, so they was double the price, and they only was limited. Man, I swear to God, I stayed out all night the night before and shit. It was police out there, and it was cold and shit. And I'm thinking this whole time the shit that people do for bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's because, I think it's a psychological thing with our community. I think the reason why we try to be so flashy and flamboyant is because we often come from less than savory situations. We come from the gutter. So it's like when we get something that it make us feel good. Shit, right. It's a pick me up. It's a pick me up. I think that's really what it boils to, and as to why we do it in our community. But the fact of the matter is Kanye knows that, and he's charging as much as he's charging for these shoes and these clothing, these shirts with holes and shit in them. But I don't know. I don't even want to look at it deeper than that. But you charging me thousands of dollars for some clothes to make me look like I'm homeless.
Man, and even I heard him explain that philosophy of what he's claimed he's trying to do. He took his argument is it sounds justifiable outside of the fact of the cost. He can't address the cost point. But
of course not, because if they'll buy it,
he tried to make it seem like he wanted to make high fashion. He want to make people, you know what I'm saying, the aspect of like the aesthetic consciously of how people view. But you want to get rich off that shit, and that's the thing. Why people got to get rich off shit? Jesus wanted to do this shit for free. So many people.
Jesus was like, about the highest commandments that Jesus preached. First, love God and love your neighbor.
Period.
Now, when it comes to love, I do think that we don't have a full understanding of love, because if you love somebody, you got to be willing to tell them the truth, despite how they may take it, because the truth is what's best for people. But that's what I mean. I think a lot of us are just too afraid to do a lot of things. And I will say that's if I decide to even go. Like,
because you have the right not to go.
Yeah, and I know that this is the thing, they're trying to guilt people into voting. And that's the thing that makes me even more like, fuck you. Because how you gonna try to send me a written letter, you gonna text me, you gonna put something on TV advertising that if I don't vote, that record will be available for the public. Like, if I don't believe in either candidate, I don't believe in either candidate. And like I said, our state is a red state. So
they guilted me into voting for a cop.
It's interesting. I don't even want to. This is what the type of stuff that make me think that it's planned out, because we're in the midst of a black uprising. You know what I mean? They're saying that black people they're tearing shit up. They're getting a little bit too unruly. And I know you know the history of the cops. I know you know the history of what police officers were originally. They were slave catchers. They were there to wrangle and hold. So how ironic is it that they give us a cop
who make it seem like that's the better alternative?
Yeah, because, and that's what I mean when I just feel like...
This is the thing. Is the cop shit worse than...
Call me complacent, but...
Is the cop shit worse than the white supremacist shit?
One and the same, if you ask me.
It's like 1A and 1B.
Yeah, and it's not, and of course it is not to say that all cops are any type of way, because my sister, I told you that.
Right, I have a sister who's a police officer. Who's like my mentor. I won't mention his name, but he's like a mentor, always have been. He's a high level ranking police official. Yeah. And I know he watch a lot of my shit and he be talking a lot of bad shit about cops, but it's not from a point of, like I said, I don't want people to think I'm talking about all cops, but what I'm saying
it's just our system.
Look, just like I'm stereotyping cops. You can say that. The way they stereotype black folks, I am reverse stereotyping cops. Of course, every cop isn't bad. Of course, I thought about being a cop at some point in my life.
For the desire to want to do better for the community.
For a second, to be like, could I be a cop? Hell no. But just the thought has come into my mind frequently a couple times
crazy,
when I was younger.
I thought it was just me.
No, I have thought about it.
Like I said, it's just because it's so deeply ingrained into the system. There's more of them than it is of us. Even if it's a matter of, you can only do what you can, but after a certain point, how much does that matter?
I think you got to really enjoy power in a sick way. Not to be like that. Or not only that, you have to either have integrity. 100% integrity. Because I know people who have 100% integrity. Like, I know officers with 100% integrity. I'm like, you know what? Based off the type of person you were before you were a cop, you have the intangibles to tell another motherfucker what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like if you can be a good manager, a good boss, you know what I mean? But there is a fine line, because sometimes when you give people power, man, it don't go so well.
Like I just know that. Well, the reason when I said the training day thing, just being a crooked cop, because I know that I would bend over backwards for the people. Even like if even not to be like that, but somebody who may have been doing something dirty at some point in time. I know that. If, say for instance, you flick somebody, you realize you know him, you a cop, and you realize she got a pound of weed in the car. You could ruin his You could ruin his life, right? Instead, you let him go. You don't even have to bribe. He don't have to bribe or whatever. You doing that, letting him go, is such a violation of the job that it's like, you know what I'm saying? If you get too many of those, like, you know, I'm gonna say this. I remember working at I was working at my college, right, back in the day, and like the fitness center. There was like test running the fitness center. It was like a smoothie thing. So it was like it wasn't for profit necessarily. They was somehow figuring out how to get the school to fund them shit. So it was just draining money. So long story short, I remember certain points of people that would come in there, and UD was such a capitalist, like from higher class and poverty. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you were poor at UD or you come from lower class, you had a scholarship. So for the people down here, like myself,
they know.
So I would give out so many free smoothies to people who I realized were trying to pay, or like, because I realized these white people, not to just categorize them, but just they would come in, these silver spoons would come in, and it wouldn't be nothing to them. They would just buy everybody smoothies in the whole gym. Don't even know how many people in the gym. Okay, you want to stunt like that, or just do little stuff. But I would see the other people who like literally breaking their pockets just to see if they could get a water. I know how that feels. So just in the construct of me being in position to be like, you know what, I could whip you up a free smoothie, man. Go about your day. In that same regard of, you know, not to say
kind of like a Robin Hood mentality.
Right. And if you ask me about some of the things that, you know, people pay for, I was like, there's no way that I would even feel comfortable exchanging currency for this product.
Because you know, at that shop they sold the most trivial shit. That I told you where they got them shells from. They went on vacation in Florida and scooped them shells up.
You didn't tell me that.
They scooped them shells up off the beach, and this is what she told me. They were on vacation and found those shells on the beach in like Florida or some shit.
She's a genius.
And she grabbed a bunch of them.
We need
and
to
they
get her
shipped
on.
them. They paid to ship them home.
Hey, we need to get her on the podcast.
She would never. That would be great.
I'm
but
talking
she
about
would
we
never.
have to give her a list of certain things to talk about. But,
this type of information is what you only get when you start getting close to them.
Yeah, I know, because, man, that right there, the way they turn nothing into something.
Because they have a persona that they have to keep. And you start hearing shit like that.
You know something that I never felt comfortable with? Like the type of person I am. I'm more of I'm an idealist. So I like to pitch the idea. I like to present. I like to talk. But then I don't like to talk numbers. Talk to somebody else. Somebody else handle the sale, you know.
I just like the ideas and making it happen.
I could build them up for the sale. I can even close them. I could close it, but I just want somebody to handle the specifics of the money, right? Because I don't like that stressful. But the thing about them that they forced me in a situation, it would be like times where like I was making some of the product right there in front of the customer, and they would be like, all right, I'm gonna buy like 30 of these. I'm gonna be like, and then at this price, and they like, okay, and I'm like, and I just feel uncomfortable, like, so I may have put a couple extra in there just for conscience, cause the higher power watching, like, you know what I'm saying? That right there is like, just imagine.
You see it, though.
I was punching up $5
the
at a time.
margins were
$5 at a time.
At
$2.
least 50%, probably about 60% margins.
Man, I was punching up $5 every time I made something, and when I fucked one up, I threw one up that could have been $5.
And that's why they used to be so mad when the motherfuckers be thought, because it's like,
I fucked up.
$5,
They was fucked up.
$5.
But they was
5, 10, 4 of them, $20. I've seen people buy 10 of them. Like,
man, I've seen somebody buy 30 of them, and for a whole party of 30
I've seen people come in. I remember the biggest sale that I did was, it was a convention. It was a women's convention, and a bunch of women came in, and they were like, we want to get our sisters gifts. And they came and they bought 10 of those fucking handbags. It was like a $1,500 ticket. And I gave them a 15% discount.
Did you clear it?
No.
You felt bad. God was watching you. He like, man, you gonna.
I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And, you know, I will say, I didn't really get like in trouble, but I did get reprimanded a little bit because the high percentage that I gave.
I don't want to just slander them. I don't want them to think this was a slander fest, because I feel like you said, we were able to meet a bunch of great people.
Yeah.
I met Jennifer Granholm. I mean, not Jennifer Granholm, Gretchen Whitmer.
At the company?
At General Motors.
That's pretty cool.
I met so many people at fucking Cobo Hall. You know what I'm saying? At those different events that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, and just so many times. And then the Guardian 42 Doug came into the Guardian building before everybody knew, before we paid, and everybody knew he was signed. Before he signed to Lil Baby, came into the Guardian building. And it was deep, little, you know, just a lot of little shit that people don't even realize, you know, like, man. So I'm definitely privileged to have had the opportunity, especially because I don't like working with other people when I'm working, like, not saying I can't do it, but just I get better when I'm able to kind of like, you know, float. And everybody kind of, you know, worked by themselves at that company, and that was the part that was
product had stories that they did want you to tell the story and give them the information about the product, was fine. But they allowed you a lot of freedom to kind of be able to do your thing. And that was a big, that was like the best shit about it. You know, as long as you were responsible, you knew what knew what to do. You could do homework in that bitch. You could be in there writing. You could be, but when people came in the store, you knew to get up and give them the proper attention that they deserve.
Period.
We set the standard for customer service.
They would be like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is
play little old
this
school.
is Detroit. I wanted to give them a Detroit experience. I used to think about that at Kobo, like these people coming in from these different events from different places. I wanted them to still know that Detroit is still music king. So I used to want to play certain shit. I really felt like a DJ at Kobo. That was my favorite aspect. I learned to love a DJ.
People ask that though. That's the thing. When we were able to play our own music, that was something that I got asked a lot. Oh, is this an artist from Detroit?
Yeah, I used to do that.
So why not throw a couple of your songs in the mix, or a couple, you know, Rich Next Weekend, a couple fucking Curtis Roach songs in there. You know what I mean?
And you put me up on them before that in the house bar, and I'm in the house bar. And I was spinning that shit at Kobo. That was where you put me up on that.
Because he's super talented. I think one of the things that I like a lot about being a creative is that y'all so fucking dope. It allows me to know a lot of other creatives.
That shit was deep. And on the closeout of this shit too, I want to ask you from your perspective, because I remember, you know, Trav brought us in on the Sada video to shoot, and I want to know from your perspective, because, you know what I'm saying, You had all the equipment, you know what I'm saying? It was your idea for the lighting. Last week you switched it up. We was in there like me trying to figure out right before. We didn't know when he was coming in and not. That was a weird ass moment. What do you remember from it, from your experience? Because right now, Sada, you know, a whole lot of choppers, Nicki Minaj doing real big, and that was right before that moment. So just
it was literally right before,
yeah. It was literally right before me. So what's that like for you being a photographer, videographer, being able to kind of like, it was such a humbling experience, and like, you know, what did you gain from it?
First, I'm just very, very thankful that, you know, I was able to even be a part of it. You know what I mean? I'm very thankful to Trav for trusting me so soon to bring me into something like that.
I couldn't even believe it. I posted that shit. People was hitting me up like, what the fuck is going on? It
was oh man, I'm just, like I said, very, very thankful that.
I think that was pretty huge.
I don't expect nothing. That's the thing. I don't expect him to I didn't expect any of that.
Yeah, but still, he saw that. So, you know, just realizing that moment that we could all take on our professional resume moving forward, like to credit Sada Baby.
Yeah, and I'm definitely,
and you got the footage.
I'm definitely gonna do that. Like,
you still got the footage.
Like I said, I was just happy to be able to help. I didn't know exactly what that was going to be, but to be able to not only help to set up and be scene director, you know, to actually be able to be second camera and shoot, and be able to compile the behind the scene footage and stuff.
Man, you did.
I don't know. It was really cool.
It was so uncomfortable for me. It was uncomfortable.
Hell yeah! Once you get moving and all of that,
my arms was tired and shit. Like, I had a terrible time. Like, to be honest, and I think
you weren't feeling good prior to that anyway.
I think my head was hurting.
You know what I'm saying?
It was all bad for me. So I had like a terrible time. So like, I couldn't really appreciate it. But looking at the footage, man, that we all producers.
I will say too, as the only woman on set, you know what I mean? Not necessarily just the music industry, but the music video industry is male dominated for sure.
That's some weird ass shit.
For sure.
That's why
because I think a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but a large demographic of rap videos are the same type of. I don't know. That whole moment to me felt like the end time moment with Obama. Like, it was like, okay, I know you're a big person, but I'm just staying level headed and shit. And he was cool. Everybody there was cool.
You know, I was so upset. I thought the nigga was taking all day. I thought he wasn't coming. I'm gonna be honest.
I knew he was gonna. I knew it. I knew it. I did not expect for him to be on time at all.
I'm always prepared.
Two things I didn't expect for him to be: on time and sober. No, no. I knew it. I knew we was gonna be in that bitch for a little bit way, and you know, and that's the kind of like a stereotype of rappers. Motherfuckers be late. I find that artists a lot of the times be late. Like when I'm shooting with people, when I'm doing photography or doing a video or whatever, motherfuckers be late.
Man, I hate. You know, the one thing that I really just hate about artists, and this is coming from an artist. So though, it's like, you know, I don't want my artists to get offended, but it's like artists a lot of times, and this problem we in the position we in the music industry because we can't see past our own artistry.
Right.
And it hinders us in such a way that it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It'd be like, I just, man, and it's just going back to different shit that's going on in the game now. Like, you know, it's because of us shooting that video for Sada that I didn't want to address the, what was the one shit? Not the tweets, but the DJ Vlad interview. Did you see that?
I think the last interview I saw from him, it wasn't a Vlad interview, but it was the one where he was saying like...
You have not seen the Vlad interview?
How old is that one?
Vlad interview maybe a month or two.
Okay, so no, I haven't seen that one. Right, I haven't seen too many Vlad.
He became a blood at age 22, and he talks about, it says Vlad school Sada Baby on stocks, and in it, clearly Sada didn't know what to do with his money that he's getting. And it was
of course not.
It was
but that's the thing. Most.
No, but it was such a damning interview that I want to talk about that too. If you think Vlad a culture vulture. And if not, And look, I actually fuck with his interviews.
To an extent, yeah.
But I love his interviews, so it's his.
That's the thing. He's putting out good. He's providing a good service.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like, I hate that he exploiting this way he exploiting this, but I'm gonna keep looking at that shit for sure. But
yeah, because it's like a parasite host type of relationship.
You know who I want to come for first before we come for Vlad? We gotta come for Maury.
I mean, that's true.
That nigga Maury.
Maury, Jerry. I mean, but I would say Jerry. Jerry put the whites and the blacks. He don't discriminate.
He was fair, but Maury,
he don't discriminate.
How many men have he respectfully made look like clowns? But how many black women have he just embarrassed?
That's the whole point of the show.
To watch. He embarrassed so many black women. It was a thing about running in the back, like, oh my God.
That's the whole thing. I mean, when you think that he going in and he checking or giving them some type of resources afterwards.
Man, but look, wasn't it a thing that a girl would run in the back and just jump on the floor?
And just roll all over and then the camera be shaking and shit and following them like this.
Man,
hell yeah.
Dog,
that's what we come to see.
That's sad,
we come to see the buffoonery, the fucking yeah.
That shit fucking man.
You are not the father. It's not you are the father and you're gonna go to take care of your no.
Man, I don't know if you got that shit that I have. Damn, I probably didn't got it. It was a nigga rapping. It was an old school nigga rapping. On more, it was so fucking funny, man. I don't want to just laugh too hard. But it was like, he was just talking about how the baby ain't his, man.
Man, it be so bad. It be so bad.
Ooh,
and they just allow it.
Man.
We just gonna put a camera in front of this person. But yeah, I done seen niggas go in there and find out they ain't the daddy, do backflips, cartwheels, start pop locking and shit. I done seen chicks on there, they start twerking. Like it's I don't know, they just take the magnifying of the most.
What do you
I don't even want to say anything about the people because it's just like they are what they are. You know what I mean?
For real though.
But I don't know.
What do you think about Walter Wallace? Are you familiar?
Who was that?
With the gentleman out of Philadelphia who was mentally ill, who had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am familiar with that situation. First and foremost, this goes to say when people are talking about defunding the police, this is the type of thing that they're talking about. I told you earlier that, you know, I'm big on mental health. And one thing that I find in our communities is that we have a lot of trauma and nothing to do with it because we can't afford proper mental health care. Even with the insurance that we have, it's damn near impossible to be able to find an affordable therapist. If we find a therapist now, it's damn near impossible to be able to find somebody who actually understands the issues that we are dealing with as Black people.
Man.
And I kind of feel like that is just this is just a consequence of that. You know, they said that like in the first instance of it, they called the police and they were laughing at them.
You actually said that the mother said she actually called the ambulance. And the police showed up
and they showed up. And they said that they had called before.
They knew who he was. It was a long list of times like that because of the mental illness. So I'm sure that protocol is set in place. So that was a structural failure.
For sure. But this is what we mean when we say defund. I mean, maybe they just don't like the word, but reallocate some funds.
Yeah, and that's respectful because I was
move some money around. Is that better? Can we say that?
I was so mad. I was coming with this band. You know, I'm like, this band. There's no way to. You have to.
Of course, but you know, you gotta ease them into it a little bit.
I'm like, shit. We need to do a Minneapolis deal.
We gotta move them into it a little bit. You can't they get scared when you're just talking about taking them all away. When you talk about just removing the entire system.
You got to. They only promote from within. That's dangerous.
Chris Lewie TV checking in.